Toronto buyers are starting to come back to the market. It's happening slowly, but we can see it in two places. We're seeing it in the sales numbers on a monthly basis, which are slowly ticking up from what we were used to over the past few years. And I'm also seeing it in my own business. I took a look this morning. In the last 30 days, we've had 16 buyers book appointments with our team through our online link. And those aren't our past clients. Those are brand new people potentially thinking of getting into the market. And I can tell you that earlier this year, most of the appointments I was getting were sellers looking to sell. We've started seeing buyers slowly start to enter the market again. Now, if you are a buyer, I think you'll enjoy this video. Or if you're a seller and you're trying to understand the mindset of potential buyers in this market, I think you'll like this video as well. My name is Tom Storey. Thank you for being back on today's channel. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, get subscribed to the channel. And if you want, you can be one of the buyers or sellers that books a call with us by going to the first link in the description. Now, I'm going to bring back my team member, Amrit, to the channel for this video, and we're going to have a full conversation about buyer mentality. What is going on right now? For those that don't know, Amrit's been working on the Story team for over 5 years now, Amrit. Is it 6 years yet?
Yeah, almost there, yeah. No,
Almost
5 years.
5 years. Yeah. One of our top realtors on the team that works with our buyers and is really, really good at it and very active in those conversations. That's why I want to bring you back today. And also runs a great YouTube channel, and we're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. I'll link it below. I think we're at like 700 range. So 300 of you that watch this, go subscribe to Amrit. Let's get him to 1,000. But Amrit, I appreciate you being back here.
Yeah, thank you for the great intro. Very nice.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about buyers. I think most recently when the July numbers came out, there was like a little bit of excitement in the overall real estate industry that, okay, hey, things didn't get worse again. And I don't think at any point we're saying like, oh, the market has bottomed out here, or I'm not ready to make that call at this point. I think it's kind of like, you know, if you live in a storm and there's a day you go outside and it's just windy, it feels kind of calm. And I think that's kind of what the overall feeling was like when those numbers came out. But what buyers don't buy unless buyers and sellers both agree on value. And I think that's the big thing, is like prices have now dropped at least enough for some buyers and sellers to come to that evaluation. So I want to know from you right now, what's the buyer mindset? I know we were in the office together yesterday. You were meeting with a buyer in person to go over that initial meeting. Like the conversations you're having with them, what are they saying? What are they thinking right now?
So they're saying that the prices have come down and interest rates are relatively reasonable now, right? What they were like, let's say, a year ago. So the affordability factor is slightly coming back. So that's what is kind of motivating them. And they're like, okay, now this is pretty decent deal we're getting and sounds a little bit affordable. I'm not saying it's a lot affordable, right, but to some extent it is affordable. That's what is pushing them to pull that trigger and get into the housing market, or especially condos. There are lots of good condos out there too. So that's why instead of renting, they're like, okay, I might as well get into the market and build equity and maybe get some appreciation in the long term. Maybe, sure.
Yeah, I guess maybe, because the next few years is still a pretty big question mark on that. For those first-time home buyers that you're speaking with, I'm assuming most of them are currently renting or maybe living at home. But for the ones that are renting, like, you just do the math. It's very clear. I know there's principal pay down on the mortgage. We can get into all those numbers if we want, but owning, even with a 20% down payment, usually still costs more on a monthly basis, mortgage, maintenance fees, taxes, than renting does. So that's kind of a tough pill to swallow, especially for someone that's maybe still paying like pandemic rent. You know, how are they kind of going about that? Are they okay to jump up and pay more to own? What's the mindset?
Yeah, so I'm seeing two types of buyers. So one buyer is, most of them are putting 20% down, and they're getting that money from maybe a gift from their parents and family, friends, or whatnot. So if they're putting 20% and more, their monthly cost is still higher than renting, but it's not that bad. But if someone who's putting like 10 or 15% down, then your monthly carrying cost is going to be significantly higher. And then you're going to be house poor, in my opinion, too. You shouldn't be doing it in today's time, all right? And I'm seeing few of cash buyers too. They are scooping up deals out there. Cash buyer, I just want to highlight that if you're a cash buyer, it does not mean you're going to get a steal deal, because sellers, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the sellers, money is coming from the bank or the buyer is giving all cash. But they're considering that they're still getting the discount due to current market conditions, and that's why they're jumping into the market. I'm not saying everyone's jumping in the market. It's not like the market is going on fire. It's not like that. but it's become better what it was 3 to 4 months before in this year.
It's actually a really good point that I feel like people have watched too many American reality real estate shows to think like cash offer. Like, it's not that it's not important, right? But to a seller, as long as they have the financing pre-approved, like, does the seller care where the money comes from? I guess you could say, like, in the rare possibility that the appraisal's done and they don't appraise it to what the buyer paid, and then the buyer has to make up the difference, then that could complicate things before closing. But I mean, that's happened to me less than a handful of times in 12 years. It's not something that's that common. Like, I don't think sellers care so much. Does cash offer mean anything?
No, it doesn't matter much. And honestly, even if the buyer tells me it's a cash deal, I don't tell it to the seller, because if I tell the seller it's a cash deal, then they know my buyer has money. Right. And they're gonna keep playing that bidding game till the buyer ups the price. So I usually don't tell them. Yeah.
I do always find that interesting. Sometimes when we get offers, from the other side, you'll hear like, "Oh, money's not an issue for them." I'm like, "Well, thanks for telling me," because
exactly.
now we know they can pay more,
They can
and
afford.
I'm working with the seller, so I'm going to share that information. I'm going to try to maximize the value for the seller. Let's talk about the types of buyers that exist, because I'd say in any market, there's really only 4 types of buyers. You have the first-time home buyer, which we've covered. You have the upsizer, you have the downsizer, and you have the investor. I think that's kind of really what classifies the potential buyer pools. For the upsizer, that's what I found really interesting in my day-to-day, is that the upsizer has a property to sell and then they want to go buy. And a lot of the upsizer in Toronto is sell condo, buy house. And it's a much more difficult jump than it used to be, because condo prices have not done what house prices have done over the last 5 years. They're basically the same over the last 5 years, going back to 2019, and houses still are higher. And then in these market conditions, condos are like very much a buyer's market, where homes, depending on what it is and where it's located, could be slightly more competitive. And I'm finding those upsizer buyers, it's mostly a life decision. It's not purely financial. It's like, we need more space. We want to buy a house. They're very eager to buy the house. The problem is getting the condo sold. And then you've got the downsizers, where you could argue, well, they should just wait if they don't have to. And they missed winning the lottery over the last few years if they had sold when they didn't need to buy, or if they're going to a smaller purchase price. But again, I think that's like a lifestyle thing for them. Exactly. And then we have the investors. Have you talked to anybody that's an investor that's buying right now?
No. In the last recent past, no, I haven't talked to many investors, but a lot of first-time home buyers I'm talking to. And I'm talking to a lot of parents who wants to buy a condo for their kid.
Yeah.
That's
I'm getting more calls.
A lot of conversation I'm having. Yeah,
I can't believe how many calls I'm getting about that. And sometimes I'm like, let me talk to the kid. They're like, no, they're not ready yet. I'm like, I can give you lots of advice, but if the kid's not on board, like nothing's. I had someone recently that called me. It was a grandmother. And she's like, my grandson wants to buy a place, and I need your help. I'm like, can I talk to him? She's like, no, I don't want him to know I'm doing this. I'm like, well, I'll give you advice, but there's really nothing we can do here.
No, that's nice though. Yeah, so a lot of first-time home buyers and parents helping their kids. I'm having a lot of conversation with them, and there are deals out there. If you're a little strategic about it, yes, there are deals out there. Like, look for properties which have been on market for some time with a good layout. Because typically the properties which are on market does not have a good layout, but there are few diamonds in the rough which you can find. So look for properties which have been on the market for some time. Yeah.
For the condo side of things, especially if we're going to talk about first-time home buyers, I think it's tough when there's a lot of analytical people that we work with based on the nature of the content that we put out, right? Because we are more numbers people in terms of what's going on. And if you look at the junior 1-bedroom or 1-bedroom condos and the inventory levels and how long they've been at that level, there's like a very strong argument to say that prices have not stopped going down for those type of properties. I think like solid layout, good 2 bedrooms with views, I think are actually pretty solid. I don't think you're going to see massive dips from here, but the smaller stuff is usually what the first-time home buyers may be interested in buying.
Yeah.
So walk me through that's got to be a tough decision. Like, hey, it could go down more, but I don't want to rent anymore. I want to get in the market. It's much lower than it was. you got these people waiting for the bottom, which we'll find out 3 months after that eventually happens. You know,
Yeah.
what are they talking to you about in those situations?
Yeah, they are all looking for, most of them are looking for 1+10s within the price range of 500 to 550K. But the honest truth is, the good 1+10s, they're going to range from 550 to 600K. Let's be honest, 600K.
Sure.
So a lot of people are targeting 1+10s because maybe it's because of hybrid model, or people are working, let's say, one day or twice a week from home. So that's why they want some space so that they can work from home. So a lot of buyers are targeting 1+10s. Studios, we are not looking at, no one has reached out to us, and we've seen the data, they're not selling. And if they're looking for a 1 bedroom, they need a decent 1 bedroom where they can set up a small workstation and have a good living experience at the same time. And of course, they need a good locations, of course, and that's what we're gonna recommend as well.
The one thing that I've seen is like the market is being driven right now by end user decisions, right? This is a true end user market, and which we've very much seen in the data that the investors are not involved, and that's what's brought down the prices, the sales volume. You know, we can go down the laundry list here. For condos specifically, because we've talked about this a lot, but maybe not like as we're recording ourselves, there's two types of condos in Toronto. There's end user buildings and there's investor buildings. And I think the investor buildings are having a very, very difficult time selling right now, where then there's like the units we'd actually even recommend to our clients probably only represent 20% of the market anyways. How are you finding, that discussion with these potential buyers?
In my eyes, I think I see condos as there are 4 versions of condos.
Okay.
That is, first are going to be the age from 0 to 5 years old. Those are going to be small cookie cutter condos. Those are investor condos, which you just mentioned. Buyers want brand new condos, but when I show them, they're like, no, this layout sucks. We don't want that. Right? Then there's a condo between the age of 5 to, let's say, 20 years old. That's a sweet spot. Those condos are, I would say, have a good efficient layout, and the price point is also reasonable. And in those category, you can find a decent 1+10 for, let's say, high 500s to low 600s.
With parking? With parking?
With parking, it depends from building and location. Okay. Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah. And third category is the aesthetic one, the lofts, right? Those are expensive, great aesthetic, but the layout is not going to be as efficient as the age of 0 to, let's say, 20-year-old, but they're good. I love them personally. So those very selective buyer like those, and they hold value. I'm not saying that they hold value. So that's the third category. And fourth category is super old condo with super spacious area, and you need to do some renos, and we see a lot of downsizers targeting those type of condos.
But right now it just feels like there's maybe for the first time in a long time that the price has actually come down enough. We have now seen in the data the condo prices are actually coming down, and for a long time it's like they said they were still holding, but me and you know that wasn't the case. It was just bigger units were selling, so it was keeping the average price slightly up. And now we're actually seeing in the data that okay, there has been downward pressure. We've known this for a while, and the buyers are starting to feel like maybe this is the opportunity. Okay, final thing I want to bring up. The biggest thing that we do when we set up buyer searches for our clients is we say, do you have any interest? We don't recommend it, but do you have any interest on buying a property that currently is tenanted if we can get vacant possession? And usually the answer is no, only send me vacant or owner occupied properties. Is there a price where it starts to make sense now to look at that potential risk?
It's very tricky in my opinion. I usually tell my buyers, if you want to target tenanted properties, it's going to come with a risk. This is a reward because you get a discount on tenanted properties. The risk is, what if the tenant does not move out? If they're really interested, I go check out the property. You get the vibe of the tenant a little bit, how, I don't want to say this, but you get the vibe when you enter the unit, how the tenant is going to be, like in some capacity. I'm not saying 100%, and then make a decision from there. But it's going to be, it is tricky with tenanted properties. Like it's hard to say that you should go or you should not. Yeah, it depends upon the budget as well of the client.
I feel bad for the tenants too. It's because like I can understand their position. They're like, I've lived here for 6 years. I'm in rent control. I don't want to leave. Like, so I'm not going to be helpful when the showings happen. I'm not going to clean up. Like, I get it. Like, everyone kind of looks out for themselves first. You have to in life. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but I'm just not quite sure yet. Unless it's a price you're like, okay, we've priced in a ton of future downward pressure to get to this price that we're happy with, and it's worth taking on this risk, then I think it might be something that people would look
Yeah.
at. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
to your point, yeah, I agree. That's fair. That's fair. And to your point, yeah, no one likes to be get displaced from their home, really. Yeah. So we get
sucks.
that too. But
This is maybe a conversation for another day, but did you see the article that came out that for apartment buildings, they're now going to have like a rating system, like for food, like the Dine Safe? Did you see this?
yeah, no, I haven't read it fully, but I saw the headline. But I haven't.
So
gone through it
basically,
fully.
you know, if you saw a restaurant with a yellow sign on it, would you go in and eat? Probably not. So they're going to do it the same way they do for restaurants, where it's like green, yellow, red shuts it down. But it's only purpose-built rentals or like apartment buildings, right? It's like the new condo stock can't be controlled like this because they're all individual landlords. And some people are saying it's going to create a two-tier system where you've got the new purpose-built rentals, the older apartment buildings, and then all the individually owned condo stock over here. But that's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out and how that impacts
That'll be
things.
really interesting.
Really interesting. Well, we'd love to know from you guys in the comments. Let us know if you're a potential buyer or you bought recently. Why did you buy? Why are you not buying? What are you waiting for? Is it simply just prices going down, or is it for the right property to come onto the market for you? Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.